Do you know how bad things have become in the church? Because we got to a point where we were taken over by a consumerist ideology, where many believers now feel that blessing is to have something while doing nothing. That's the way many believers define blessing. The blessed life is a life that is working out the purpose of God for that life. And I'm saying to you that the purpose of God for your life includes work. There's an assignment of, there's a portion of creation where creation needs to be moved up, stepped up, where human flourishing needs to be encouraged or needs to be improved upon, that is willed to you. Irrespective of how much money you eventually get to make in your lifetime, there is something God wanted you to do to contribute to the overall experience of humanity, so that life will become a little more efficient because you lived. The same way that God was not working for food. When God started working, the first day, then he rested. And then the second day, he rested from his labor. There was night and day. And, well, on the sixth day, God rested from all of his work. That was the rest from creation. After man sinned, God started the work of redemption. And he is still on that work till today. The point is this. When God was working, those 6 days of creation, he was not working for food. At the peak of human fulfillment will be the need to work hard, but no more for food. So when we get there, we teach you that you will need to keep doing what you can do long enough so that you can eventually be able to do what you should do. Because in a fallen world, things are not the way they used to be originally anymore. In a fallen world, you will hear things like whatsoever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Because some of you are lazy because you are looking for purpose. You say, me, I know that God has called me to be a footballer. God has called me to be. So you are waiting for Arsenal that is waiting for cup. You are like, God has. That's why you are becoming a nuisance. You are becoming a beggar in the community of the saints, because you are just waiting there. You say, me, God has shown me, I've seen dreams, I've seen vision, I've even had open trances. People have also come to confirm it. My place is in the European League. So you are waiting for the day that somebody will stumble upon you. You have all the fantasies. Can I tell you? Things are not the way they were meant to be. We now live in a broken world. And in a broken world, you are now required to do what you can do until you are able to do what you should do, provided that none is sinful. Legitimate enterprise. Legitimate enterprise. Because sometimes you will need to keep doing what you can do. That might even be how you eventually get into the place where you are finally able to do what you should do. See, that thing, you know, this is my calling. This is what God has called me. This is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to do. It is like that across the board. There are people that are supposed to be ministers of the gospel, and there's no doubt about it, that God has called you to be a preacher of the gospel. Yes. But you are giving God a bad name because you are begging, putting church members under pressure because you don't want to work. You don't want to work. In an internet age where you can do so much just from your phone, you can do so much. But you say, ministry. God has called me into ministry. My God shall supply all my needs. That's not how he says it. He says, my God shall supply your needs. according to his riches. And he said that because he said, because you supplied my need, God will supply your need. How do you think God will supply their need? Huh? It just simply means that God is going to prosper the enterprises of their hands. That's how God supplies their need. I will show you in the Psalms the way that this thing works in the New Testament. No, in the fallen world. But I'm going somewhere first. I'm trying to lay the foundation for gold, for resources, to say to you that the first obligation we have to work, to create, to produce, is not because of sin. So you need to burn it into your spirit that even if sin never happened, you will still be working. So what changed? What changed after sin is the reason for work. After sin happened, they now said it is in the sweat of your brow that you will eat. It was since sin happened that man now needed to work in order to eat. Before sin happened, man needed to work, but his work was not so that he will qualify to eat. God provided for man before he formed the man. The garden came before the man. Are you with me? They drove him out of that garden after he sinned. But when he had the garden and everything the garden provided, he still had the responsibility to work. The day that God brought the animals to Adam so that Adam could name them, do you think Adam was trying to earn a salary? Hello? Do you think that was it? No. It is what I have said to you. It is the fact that God has decided to give us this sense of participation with him in creation. So God made us creative beings, and so he left a lot of room in creation for us to be able to manifest that creativity, that creative ability that he has given to us. So if God did everything that needed to be done, there would be no room for you to do anything. That was why God made everything good, very good, but not perfect, including man was not made perfect. What would have completed that process for man was going to be the eating of the tree of life. Are you with me? That would have completed the circuit so that man will now eventually become immortal. And God left that small bit for man to come and actualize, because God wants us to participate with him in his enterprise on the face of the earth. When you become a Christian, part of the thing that happens is that you need to start walking your way gradually to Edenic normalcy. We will not get there completely until we get into the eschaton, but you need to start walking as much as possible back to that place, back to Eden, as it were, to the point where you can now walk, because this is your portion in God. Are you there? If God called you to be a teacher, that will be the primary horn by which we bring glory to his name. This is how you will contribute to human flourishing. I talked to you about human flourishing, that this is one of the reasons why God gave us the opportunity to walk, so that we can contribute not just to the flourishing of creation, but particularly to human flourishing. Imagine a universe, a world where the only means of transport were beasts of burdens, versus a world in which we now live. So now, in 6 hours, you can cross over from Africa into the continent of Europe in 6 hours. This was something that people did for months before. In 12 hours, you can fly from Nigeria to the USA. 12 hours, half a day. Took people 4 months on the high sea. Hello? All that 4 months was just to wait to change from one location to the other. Now there are people, you will walk all day in London. You take a flight 10:40 p.m. from Heathrow. You will be in Abuja before 7 a.m. You can be in another office by 8:30. You close from work 5 p.m. last night in London. you are in the office, 8 a.m. the next morning in Nigeria. This is a world that has become way more efficient than the world was 200 years ago. It has contributed to the ability of humanity, all things being equal. I mean, anything can be misused. I'm saying that ideally, this is helping us. We flourish better. We have had opportunity now to be more efficient, all right, to be more productive than we previously were. The big question, and we're going to get to it. The big question now is, things have gotten so bad in the church that our world now feels that the church is a dead weight on the train of civilization. How many of you have felt it? Where people feel like the church is one of the reasons why we are dragging civilization down. And I need you to know that it was not always so. Modern science actually exploded on the wings of the Judeo-Christian worldview and on the wings of Christians. The early pioneers of modern science were many of them were not just nominal people that went to church. Many of them were as good theologians who loved the Lord as they were good scientists. Isaac Newton. Huh? Hello? Johannes Kepler, who is referred to today as the father of modern astronomy. Johannes Kepler. Johannes Kepler, for instance, described science, to paraphrase him, he described or defined science as thinking the thoughts of God after God. To say that in his science just simply gives you an opportunity to come through to say, look at where God passed. What did he do here? To think the thoughts of God after God. Many of the people, Kevin's law, Boyle's law. Did you do Boyle's law in chemistry? Yeah, what's the name of this other guy? The guy that eventually had the breakthrough in pasteurization. Several of the scientists that we know today that heralded modern science, they were avid believers. They were staunch Christians. And it wasn't just that they were Christians who happened to do science. They were Christians that were driven to science by their Christianity. It was their Christian conviction and commitment that drove them to do science. I think it was C.S. Lewis that said that men became scientific because they expected law in nature. And they expected law in nature because they believed in a lawgiver. You see, the philosophical assumptions that were necessary in order for modern science to kick off, they come to us from the Judeo-Christian worldview that believed in the fact that there is only one God that is behind all of creation, as opposed to the other contrasting views that had a different God for thunder, a different God for rainfall, a different God for fertility, a different God for sunlight, for sun, so that with that kind of scattered deities in charge of different aspects of nature, you cannot expect uniformity, you cannot expect coherence, because the God of sun can do his own thing, and it may be different from what the God of moonlight has done. It may be different from what the God of rainfall has done. It may be different from what the God of thunder has done. Science became philosophically doable because of the assumption that one mind was behind all of creation. And that came to us through the Judeo-Christian worldview. How did we get to a day now when it is looking like Christians are the dead weight in scientific inquiry? Like we are useless to the scientific endeavor. Many of the universities in the English-speaking world were started by Christians. You need to know this. One of the oldest universities in the English-speaking world, the University of Oxford, unbroken learning has been going on at Oxford as a university for more than 900 years. Founded by the church. Till today, the motto of Oxford University is from the Psalms, "The Lord is my light." So when people talk, sometimes I ask them, have you wondered the ceremonial gowns that we use in the universities? Do you know where they come from? Have you wondered why they look very much like what most of these old churches use? Anglican, Catholic churches, the Roman Catholic churches. Have you noticed the similarities between the gowns that they use in those churches and the ceremonial gowns that we use in our universities? Why do you think they look similar like that? The reason is because the people who ran the churches were the ones that ran the universities. This is the forgotten history of the university in our own lifetime. So much now that somebody like Richard Dawkins, who both schooled, I think, and taught at Oxford, now got to a point where he was bold enough to say that there was no need, that it was not right that theology was being studied as an academic discipline in Oxford, that Oxford was too big a place so that we shouldn't allow people to come there to study myth and legend. And somebody had to remind him that without Christianity he will not have a job, because the university at which he taught was founded by the church. Do you know how bad things have become in the church? Because we got to a point where we were taken over by a consumerist ideology, where many believers now feel that blessing is to have something while doing nothing. That's the way many believers define blessing. The blessed life is a life that is working out the purpose of God for that life. And I'm saying to you that the purpose of God for your life includes work. There's an assignment of, there's a portion of creation where creation needs to be moved up, stepped up, where human flourishing needs to be encouraged or needs to be improved upon, that is willed to you. Irrespective of how much money you eventually get to make in your lifetime, there is something God wanted you to do to contribute to the overall experience of humanity, so that life will become a little more efficient because you lived.